Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today's video has been a much requested video on YouTube and on TikTok from me to do. And this is about how much it actually costs to get into motorbiking or motorcycling, whichever way you want to put it, depending on where you're from. Now, I want to do this video because I want to actually explain how much it can actually cost, because a lot of people ain't aware how much it actually costs to get into motorbiking. Now, obviously you can do it the cheap way, like your Uber drivers and your moped riders who don't care, or you can go OTT, like a lot of motorbike riders and a lot of moped riders who want to think that they are superbike riders riding a 125 or a 50cc. So I'm going to be explaining to you and telling you, and I'll put a load of images up here showing you all the stuff that I've got, and then you guys will get to see how much it actually costs to get into motorbiking. Some of you may be shocked, some of you won't be, because some of you might already be riders which know how much it actually costs to get into this world, which is a hell of a lot, and sometimes it can be cheap, sometimes not. So I want to go over that in this video. So as many of you guys know, I've been biking since I was 17 years old. I've had my license for a very, very long time for motorbiking. And obviously the first thing that comes to motorbiking is doing your test. Now here in the UK, there's strict criteria on how to gain your motorbike license, and it all varies based on your age. So if you're 17, you'll only be able to ride a 125 unless you do a DAS course, which will then push you to your, I believe, A2 license, which you'll get first, which will restrict your power. You can get a 600cc, but you'll have to have it restricted, and obviously you have to have it certified that the bike is restricted down to 500 and I think 50cc or 450cc. I'm not too sure because I never had to go through that route. Then you could progress as you get older. I think it's to 19 to your A1 license. And then from the A1, you can do a progressive access course to your full A license. Now, to do all that, it can be very, very expensive. And this is why I'm going to say right now, if you are looking to get into biking, the best thing for you to do is to wait till you're 24. So you can go straight for your full A license, because under that age, you will not be able to go for your full A license unless you've had your A1 for over a year, and then you can go for a DAS, which is straight for the A license when you're 19. But you have to have held it for a certain amount of time, been riding for a certain amount of time before they let you go for full A. It's very, very strict here in the UK. Obviously, I've got my full A license because obviously when I did mine, I was over the age of 24. And I'm going to walk you through how much it actually costs to actually do your training, your test and everything. And it can be a lot more expensive than a car license. It's a lot harder than a car license because there's 4 different parts you have to proceed in to be able to get your full bike license. So the first one is going to be your CBT. You need to do a CBT, and that's obviously 6 to 7 hours on that day. You'll spend 6-7 hours one day learning how to ride a gear bike, take you out on the roads, making sure you understand road signs, understand vulnerable people like cyclists, certain things like that. And the reason they do that is because a lot of people, especially age 17, don't want to go for a car license straight away. They want to be able to do the CBT because it's easy to get around quickly. But that's why they're giving you that knowledge already, because you've never done a theory, you have no understanding of road signs. So the CBT is there to help you understand what's about. And obviously a CBT gives you freedom to get on the roads already. Obviously not of high power, but it teaches you, gets you around managing to learn the roads, learn how to ride, learn your braking distance, learn how to maneuver a bike, learn what not to do and what to do while out on the road. So a CBT is really, really good advantage, especially for young ones out there who want to get on the road but ain't got the money to afford to get into a car. Now, the CBT, like I say, is a whole day thing, and you'll have to do it and you have to complete it to be able to move on to the next stage. Now, the next one is obviously the theory test. If you want to go for a full A license, you're going to need a theory. You're going to have to complete the theory test, which is just like a car one. And if you've never done a car one, then you're going to find the motorbike one extremely hard, especially if you've got no knowledge of riding on the roads and never come across a lot of situations that they're going to ask you in a theory test. You're going to need to have a theory test. because otherwise they won't even let you take part in the next 2 parts. Once you've completed the theory test, you then move on to your mod 1. Now mod 1 is going to be like a circuit. There's going to be, I believe, 8 steps in it. So you're going to have maneuvering your bike, you're going to have the slalom, you're going to have the figure of 8, you're then going to have the U-turn, you're then going to have the, basically to see how you manage to control the bike and come to a stop like on a giveaway line. So you'll go round in a circuit, hit whatever speed you want, they're not monitoring at that time, and then you'll come to stop into 2 or 4 blue cones, and you need to stop your front wheel inside that. After that, they'll make you move. The next one will be the emergency stop, so you'll go around again. Next one is going through the speed trap, which you'll have to hit over 30 miles an hour. And I know it seems a lot for a lot of people, but you have to do it. You have to be over 30, or you will fail. They might tell you to retake it again, depending on the examiner. If they want you to pass, some of them will just fail you there and then for not going over 30 miles an hour. And when their hand goes up, you need to be able to stop without stalling and make sure you come to a controlled stop. After that, the next one is the hazard avoidance, which means you're going to have to pick up over 30 miles an hour and you're going to have to avoid a hazard. You have to go through 2 cones and avoid the hazard and then stop again in 2 blue cones with your front wheel inside the cones. After you've managed that, that's mod 1 complete. After that, you then move on to mod 2. Now mod 2 is the practical test, just like a normal car driving test where you go on the road 45 minutes. They monitor what you do, making sure you're positioning correctly, because it's completely different to positioning in a car, which is different on a bike. And obviously making sure you're doing your lifesavers, checking your blind spots, making sure you get up to speed. The examiners don't want nobody dawdling about. I know it's going to sound weird, but on a car test, examiners don't want you speeding. But on mod 2, you have to remember, majority of the riders, the training and the examiners are all ex-police traffic officers. That's something a lot of people don't know, but you can go and ask anyone. Majority of the training for motorbiking, now if you go to any riding school, majority of them are ex-traffic police officers. And when you go to DVSA, the majority of people that are doing the mod 1 and mod 2 are ex-traffic police officers as well, or some of them are still in the force. And I'll happily show you the photos when you actually go for your test, that they are still traffic officers to this day. That's why it's basically classed as a civil job. They're all police and they won't take no crap. That's for sure, I'm telling you that now. So if there's a lot of people who think they can go there and mess around, they won't take no crap. They'll tell you just to get out straight away and fail you there and then. They don't mess about. A lot of the car driving instructors or driving examiners are not ex-police. They're just your normal civilian people. But anyone who does motorbiking is all ex-police. So that's something you have to be aware of, and it's not to mess about. They won't take no crap on the roads. They want to see that you can handle the bike. They want to make sure you can come up to speed. They want to make sure you can follow road signs. They want to make sure you're not going to dally around on a bike. You've got to remember, as a bike, you are caged in against a lot of vehicles. You are at risk, and you have to make sure you minimize that risk while in front of the examiner when he's following behind you, and he needs to make sure that you're going to be safe, because the moment he gives you that pass certificate and gives you a full A license or any license, you are then on the roads on your own, and you have to look after yourself and watch out for other idiots that are on the road who can take you out. You won't, and if you don't look in your lifesavers, you won't see something coming on your left or on your right, and you get wiped out like a lot of people. The majority of people that you see killed on the road are inexperienced, and people that have never ridden before, they end up going onto a 125, thinking they can throttle it, or people who have just got their A license who are young, and they end up dying and being killed on the road. And the majority of people that are killed are inexperienced, and it is the truth. A lot of them are young people who just love the adrenaline of how fast the bikes go, and they end up dead. Within the minute they pin that throttle, they're dead. And that's exactly why the motorbike test is probably one of the hardest tests to go through, because there's 4 parts. And it's not to say everyone's going to pass. As much as I'm making it sound easy, I've been a rider since I was young. But for those who have never ridden before, it is not going to be an easy task. Mark my words on that. It's going to be one of the hardest things you've ever done. And it takes a lot of skill, especially to do the slalom and the figure of 8, especially if you've never ridden a bike, because that's all clutch control and rear brake. If you can't do that and you've never ridden a bike, it's not going to happen. Now, once you complete your license and you've got your license and you're ready to get on the roads, the next thing is buying a motorcycle or motorbike. That varies based upon the person. Some people like to go and buy brand new bikes for 16, 17 grand. I'm not one of them people. I just can't see I've always had this philosophy in my brain that I need to know what I'm getting for that type of money. And 16, 17 grand for a bike, I don't feel like I'm getting enough for the money. It's not like a car. When you buy a car, you get a lot of tech, you get this, you get that, all different extras, which you can have fitted in a car. On a bike, it's not like that. Most bikes come with just a digital speedo, ABS and TCS, or maybe a quick shifter, which these days you could just fit and buy line. So I don't understand what I'm paying 17 grand for. And I'll never see the point in that going forward. I've never been able to understand that myself, why people do it, but people do. Some people prefer to buy new bikes, and that's all fine. Now, if you're not like that, then you're gonna have to look into the second-hand market, and they can range from between 4 to 5 grand for each bike, sometimes 9 grand, depending on what you're looking for. If you want an S1000RR, you're looking between 8 to 9 grand. And I'm not talking 2020, 2024 here. I'm talking 2018, 2017, maybe 2015. If you want an R1, the big bangs, you're looking at about 8, 9 grand. If you want GSXRs, depending on what K model you want, they can all vary. So you see a lot of people with the older models, purely because the newer ones are very, very expensive and the older ones come up very cheap. To carbureted ones, you've also got the CBR Fireblades. You've got so many different bikes out there now. Depends on what you want, whether it's a naked bike, whether it's a super bike, so many different ones. But that's all personal opinion, but that's the first thing you're gonna need to buy. So you're looking, in honesty, about spending between 4 to 5, maybe an 8 to 9 grand on a bike alone. Now that's just the bike. You then need to worry about your safety, because obviously anyone can ride a bike, anyone can, but it depends on how protected you are riding that bike. Now, obviously, it's always better to be safe than sorry. So then you need to factor in levers and armor and the proper gear. Now, gear is not cheap by any means, and I'm gonna tell you this right now. Your normal average pair of leather trousers, depending on what you want, whether it's Alpine Styles, RST, Frank Thomas, there's so many different brands out there. Now, me personally, I've got RST and Alpine Styles, I mix it all together, purely because I like both, and it's very hard, and one doesn't have one thing, the other has one thing, so I've got a mixture of everything, which I'll go over. But me, I've got everything. So I've got RST and Alpine Styles Kevlar jeans, I've got RST and Alpine Styles Kevlar jumper, I've got Alpine Styles Under Armour, in case I didn't want to wear my Kevlar jumper like in the summer, I can just throw my armour on and I'm covered. I've got RST and Alpine Styles trainer boots, I've got RST race boots, I've got City Airrex boots, which, if many of you guys don't know, they're very, very expensive. They're like £374, and they've got the ratchet system, which is one of the best systems you can have for race boots. I've also got RST leathers, which is jacket, trousers, everything you can think, I've got it all. Obviously, I've got all my compression tops to help slide my leathers on, and that's a 2-piece suit. Many people like to go for a full race suit. I just don't see the need in that, because you just can't remove it when you want to, especially in the summer or whenever you're riding. Now, like I said, that just starts there. So the leathers alone, depending on what brand you're going for, RST jacket could be anywhere from 200, trousers can be anywhere from 200, Kevlar jeans, depending on the brand, can be anywhere between 150, 170. Kevlar jumpers can be £170, which is what I pay for both of mine. Then you've got to factor in your gloves. So I've got 3 sets of gloves. I've got RST and Alpine Styles again, because I just keep chopping and changing between the both. So I've got 2 sets of gloves, and now I wear my Alpine Styles ones for instance, now during this kind of weather, winter. They're my RST ones because they're cooler during the summer, so I can switch whenever I want to. Then you've got your helmets, and if you're like me, who doesn't go to shops to try things on, that can be a problem. So I've got so far 3 helmets. I've bought 3 helmets in the last year purely because I did have other ones, but obviously another thing I want to point out is that your helmet's meant to be changed every certain amount of time. So for instance, even if you drop them on the floor, drop them on concrete, you bang them, they must be changed, because that renders them liable to splitting open in the event of an accident and causing serious damage to your brain or your head. So yes, I had to replace mine because they hadn't been used for years, and I didn't want to be using old helmets. So in this time, I ended up buying an Alpine Styles one. I ended up buying the Alpine Styles 510, which was £810 just for a helmet, which is probably one of the best ones I've got. I also ended up buying a Ruroc before I bought the Alpine Styles one, I'll just add. I ended up buying a Ruroc carbon helmet, which was a track, which cost me £580. Now it's just sitting, in its bag, not being used. I'd probably give it to one of my sons, because purely I'm not using it. I didn't like it, and it just wasn't for me. I couldn't bother to send it back. And I do this with a lot of stuff. Like I say, that's why I end up with so many boots, because I end up buying, don't like the feel of them, can't bother to send them back, just keep them. So yes, I've got a lot of different gear. I've also got my LS2 Advant X Carbon one, which is a modular helmet, which flips up and goes down. So I've got quite a few helmets, quite expensive, and I only just paid for that one. That one was £400 as well online. And I believe, to be honest, for the price of that, compared to what I paid for all the others, you got more for your money for £400 than you do for buying something for £800. When I bought the Alpine Stars one, come in a bag, little carry case that you throw over you, but the LS2 Avant X1 come with dark visor, clear visor, a nice bag, carry bag, backpack. It come with also, you know, another holder to throw for your helmet. It come with everything. And that's what I like to see. You know, I feel like you get more for your money when you buy a cheap one than you do for a more expensive one. Now, the Alpine Stars one is a great helmet. Don't get me wrong. I switched between the two of them purely because, like I said, bearing in mind, I like to be able to lift my whole helmet up, especially when you're on roads that you're not going so fast on. Obviously, when you're going at high speed, you need to clip it all down. I don't like the full face completely closed in. Obviously, when I go to a track or when I know I'm going to be racing like on a motorway, if I'm going to be on the motorway a lot, then I'll take my Alpine Stars one purely because I know I'm not going to be able to flip that up all the time like I can. But if I'm riding on a mixture of roads, motorway, back roads, A roads, normal roads, then I'm going to take my modular one purely because I know I can lift the whole helmet up. But yes, that ain't cheap either, especially like someone like me who just keeps buying and buying. If it don't fit, don't send it back, keep it, give it to someone else. Then you've also got, if you ride as a pack, you'll need to buy some kind of headset system. Now I've obviously got the Cardo Pack Talk Edge, which they're not cheap either, they're about £300. Obviously it's got speakers that go into your helmet. You got your Pack Talk, which you can connect with a group and talk to all your group while riding. It's like having an intercom, like the police use to communicate with everybody, but as riders, when you're in a pack, you can connect up to 15 of you, 18 of you, 15 to 18 of you, I believe, on the Pack Talk, and you can all communicate through the intercom system, listen to music with one another while you're riding. It's a great thing to have. Obviously, it's not needed. If you're going to be a single rider, then you don't need that. There is cheaper versions out there, like the Uber drivers that buy the £50 Bluetooth headset for their helmets that you see. But yes, I've got the Cardo Pack Talk Edge. On mine, I've got it fitted to, I've got obviously a second helmet kit. I've also got a passenger kit. I've got quite a lot of them. So yes, I've got them all fitted in all my helmets. So no matter what helmet I use, I just clip my Cardo on and I'm ready to go. So I've got that as well. The next thing you have to think about after all that is obviously if you want to be able to carry stuff. Now, the reason I say about carrying stuff is because, and purely because, a lot of people want to go super bikes. Super bikes don't have a lot of space to carry stuff on them. They don't have side boxes. They're more like touring bikes. But if you want to carry stuff, like me, I carry my side bag. I've got an Alpine Stars one that goes round the back of my back that I clip round me as well. And I've also got my Alpine Stars backpack. Now, everyone always asks me, why have I got both? Because I've got the Alpine Stars waist one. And I've got also obviously my backpack, but my backpack is for if I'm going to be going far, then I need to carry a lot of clothes or another helmet or whatever. I've got my big Alpine Stars one, and it's a hard shell one, purely because if you come off, it doesn't destroy anything in there. I can carry whatever I need in there. So I've got that one, which my Alpine Stars one clips all around me. I've also got another Alpine Stars bag that clips around the back of me as well, which is my waist bag, which I usually wear when I'm just like going around either with, you know, packs or riding or wherever I need to go. If I need to ride somewhere else, then I've got just that bag. I don't need to carry my heavy backpack, but my backpack is purely for when I'm going far out and I need to be able to carry stuff. So I've got my Alpine Stars one. So that's another thing you need to consider. And they're not cheap either. Both of them, the Alpine Stars backpack cost me £160. And then you've got obviously the waistband one that goes around your waist, which was, I believe, was £93. They're not cheap. Obviously, nothing is cheap with motorbiking. And then if you've got family that want to get into it, it's going to be even more expensive. Now with me, I've already got 3 bikes. So then you've got to think of maintenance, insurance cost, road tax, MOTs. They're quite cheap on bikes. They're like 25 quid. But then the insurance, it depends on what you want. Now with motorbikes is another thing I want to speak about, is with insurance on motorbikes, it's not like cars. Third party is always cheaper on a motorbike and third party fire and theft than it is fully comp, where it's the opposite on a car. Fully comp is actually cheaper on a car than it is third party fire and theft. As I said, it's all dependent on you, what you want to insure them as. Now, obviously, all my bikes, obviously I've got the money, I've got the income to go and buy others, so I just insure them third party fire and theft. I don't need them fully comp. The same with my levers. If I need to buy new ones, I will. And if I need, you know, another bike, I'll go and buy another bike. But the worst case scenario, I come off one of them, I've got another one anyway. So that's what I mean. For me, it's not like I'm in such a rush to go and buy another bike. So I don't need to worry about that. But for most people who are just going to get into the biking, it's going to be their first bike. And they're going to want to obviously look after it. So I would strongly recommend to fully comprehensive your bike, because not only does it cover your levers, it will give you your money back if you crash the bike, if you come off it, and if you survive. As many people know, the survival rate on a motorbike is probably 10%. So not everyone survives on a motorbike, especially on the motorway. Majority of people who come off on a motorway, on a highway, are dead upon impact. And that's the God's honest truth of riding a motorbike. If it's on normal A roads or normal roads, obviously you've got a higher chance of survival. But on a motorway, the speeds everyone's traveling at, the speed you're traveling at, you come off and another car or a lorry's behind you while you come off, they've got no control over them going over you or actually killing you. It's just the way it is. Now, one thing I'm gonna say, which is great about the motorbike world, is the motorbike community, rider community, is not like the car community. Nobody puts anyone down. The riders are very, very loyal to one another. That's one thing I can say. Everyone respects everyone. They don't look at you and say, oh, you got this bike, you got that bike, you got that, and take piss out of anybody. Nobody's like that in the bike community. Everyone is very, very close. The way to put it, it's like the Porsche community. That's the simplest way to put it. It's not like the BMW community where everyone does this, does that, and it's not worth being part of. With the motorbike community, it is a very tight community, and I'll tell you why. Because as many of you guys know, if you don't know about Bike Safe, that's a course where you go out with the police riding at all different speeds, overtaking cars, this, that, the other. You go out with the police riding. It's a course, you can look it up online. It depends on your police force, where you are. It's £60 to do. It's a whole day course, but you ride with the police, you go and eat with them, go and do this, go and do what you want. And they take you all around these different roads and you ride with all the police bikes. That's what you do. The rider community and the police, many people won't believe me on this, again, go and look it up, are very, very tight. So police, as I said to you, are all bikers. Every police officer you come across is a biker, a traffic officer. So they look out for the bikers on the road. Car drivers is a traffic officer's target. And if they see any kind of maneuvers wrongfully for a car to a bike, they're gonna take the car down. And I know it's sad to say, but even if a biker comes off the bike and that person wasn't at fault, there's serious consequences for the car driver. That person's gonna be arrested straight away for death by dangerous driving or whatever it is, because motorbike police want to hold someone responsible for that biker's death. And that's the way it works. In the bike community, they want to hold someone responsible. And whether it be you, whether it be your grandma, whether it be your dad, that person's gonna get a long time in jail for it as well, because they need to hold someone responsible. Because one thing about motorbike accidents, if it's a motorbike accident, the motorbike police are gonna arrive and they don't mess about. They wanna find out what happened immediately. Because the motorbike community, as I said, is very, very tight. Even the police love bikers. They look after the bikers. You'll see that all over TikTok, where the police are egging you on a motorbike to speed with them and catch up with them. Or they're, you know, I saw one video on TikTok only recently where a car, and fair enough, he had the right of way. He was in the second lane. The bike was trying to pull out to get into the lane, and the car just literally drove past him instead of letting him out. And straight away, the police went after that car for not letting him out. And it wasn't the motorbike's right of way, but the fact is that car should have stopped for him to let him out. He saw him trying to pull out from behind the car to get into the right lane, and instead the car just decided to drive past. And the police went straight after him and pulled him over. Because that's one thing a lot of people are not aware of, that the police do look after us as bikers. Very well look after us. That's why you'll see as well, where the police will shut off the whole motorways here in the UK when there's a big bike event. They'll close it all off and let us all have all 3 lanes while they hold all the cars back. That's very common here as well. Because of what the bike community is like, they raise a lot of money for charities. They raise a lot of money for the air ambulance, for the police, to take part, to be able to do these bike safe courses. The bike community does a lot for the police and the emergency services. So that's why they're very, very respected. And the police look after the bike community for that reason. And obviously, many of you guys will say, oh, it's not like that in the car community at all. Not over Porsche, whether it's BMW, they're not like that. They're not gonna shut the roads for you lot to travel. It don't work like that. For the bike industry, they do. They will close the motorways and certain roads purely for bikers. And you probably see that where when they know a bike event's going on in country areas like Oxford, for instance, and other places, they will stop the cars flowing so all the bikers are able to turn and clear out the road, especially if they're coming out of a country lane road. They'll stop all the traffic on both ends to let the bikers go. That is how it's meant to be, and that's what I mean. The bike community is a very, very solid community. So if you do become part of it, it's something you won't regret doing, and it's something you'll love, going forward, because the bike community is like no other. And everyone is very friendly. You'll make friends for life in it, because once a biker, always a biker. And if anything happens to you, everyone will come around, everyone contributes, everyone will help a fellow biker in need. You know, whether it be funeral costs, whether it be looking after your family, whatever it is, the biker community is a very, very solid community. One of the most solidest communities you'll ever find. Everyone looks out for everyone, even if you're broken down on the motorway. It's not like a car driver where they'll leave you. If you're a biker and you are broken down on that motorway, another biker is going to stop for you. Another biker will stop and help you, or it will be someone with a van who's a biker who will help you get back home. That is how it is in the bike community. It's a very, very loyal community. I don't think I have to tell many of you who are bikers already about the bike community. Many of you already know this. But yes, it's a very, very loyal community. They always watch out for anyone. If a car, for instance, does try to cut you up or tries to get aggressive with you, and another biker does see that, they will join in with you to help you sort that problem out as well on the street. That's how it is. And this is why I always tell people as well, when you're driving a car, if you're on your own, don't try and play about the bikers. It's not going to end well for that driver on his own, because if other bikers see that, and I'm talking about these Uber drivers, Just Eat drivers, you know, just riding around in their crappy mopeds who don't even know how to ride, you know, will jump every red light. I'm talking about proper bikers here, because they're not considered bikers. But proper riders will look out for each other and will get involved if they see a dispute or anything going on with a car driver, because us as riders do not like the way car drivers are. And I always try and tell a lot of people this, is to be careful with bikers, because you in your car, you've got no protection. You are just there in your normal clothes. Us as bikers are all armored up. No matter what you do to us, you're not gonna harm us. We are unlikely to harm you. There was a video, funny enough, I saw on TikTok where, you know, this car driver tried to get rude to this other biker. And then his friend pulled up and went up to him and headbutted the guy straight away with his helmet and knocked the guy sparkle clean out on the floor. And that was in the US. And that's what I mean. You've got to remember, we are fully geared up. It doesn't matter what you bring to us. Our armor is constantly, if we hit you even with the gloves, they're so armored, it will probably destroy your whole face. Same with our boots. If we kick your door, it's going to put a hole straight through your door, because they're all like steel all around, and we've got all the protectors on, so it's going to put massive dents in your car. This is why I say to a lot of people, when you see people on bikes, do not play with bikers. It is a dangerous game you are playing. Not only will our gloves go through your window, and we are covered up, most of us have flipper plates. The police ain't gonna do anything to us, because if they did, we'll just tell them you tried to run us over, which the police are then gonna arrest you anyway, because the police are on our side. They know how cars are towards motorcyclists. So again, it's not gonna go in your favor. Realistically, I know people here who drive cars are not gonna like this, because the police are against you as a car driver, and that's one of the reasons why I don't drive so much. I rather ride, because you've got everyone against you. Police there for speeding tickets for you, for everything you do on a car. With a bike, they don't care for speeding. They want you to speed. They know the bikes, and no bike is gonna ride slow. You don't buy a big bike and ride it slow. They want you to go fast, but in a car, they don't. They're trying to stop that. That's why on us bikers, they allow us to have flipper plates. We don't have a front plate on our bike and things like that, because you see it when you've got the police with the speed gun on the bridges and things. We don't have a front plate, so they're not gonna get us anyway. And with our flipper plates up, they don't care about us. It's not us they're targeting, it's you as car drivers. So do remember that, and I'm gonna leave this video here, but I hope it's gonna help many of you guys who want to come into the motorbike, motorcycling world of how to go about it, because I know there's many of you out there who ask me all the time how expensive it is and how you can get into it. But this is one of them videos that I hope will help a lot of you come into the motorcycling world and understand how to get into it. But thank you very much for watching. It's BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.